On May 5, 2013, a rally by Hefazat-e-Islam in Dhaka became a significant event in history, marking a pivotal moment of tension in Bangladesh. The rally was rooted in a backdrop of political unrest and religious sentiment that had been building for years. The political climate post-2009 saw a rise in conspiracies against Islamic and conservative groups, leading to societal unrest and increased religious polarization. This context fueled the need for a protective organization. The formation of Hefazat-e-Islam in 2010 was a response to perceived threats against Islam and its followers, emerging from increasing tensions in society. It aimed to protect Islamic values and counteract negative portrayals. The events leading to the rally included significant protests and demands for punishment against blasphemous figures, reflecting a growing frustration within the Muslim community. This culminated in a large mobilization at Shapla Chottor. On May 5, 2013, a massive protest organized by Hefazat-e-Islam in Dhaka escalated into violent clashes with law enforcement, resulting in numerous casualties. The government's failure to address protest demands led to widespread unrest and heavy police action against demonstrators. The protest drew millions of participants from various professions, indicating widespread public support for Hefazat-e-Islam's demands. This mobilization showcased the group's influence across Bangladesh. The violent response from law enforcement included armed attacks on demonstrators, leading to intense clashes. This brutality highlighted the government's oppressive tactics against dissenting voices. In the aftermath, the government faced criticism for its handling of the situation and the loss of lives. The incident raised questions about accountability and the protection of citizens' rights. The operations conducted by police and elite forces led to significant violence and casualties during the crackdown. The government denied any fatalities, despite evidence and reports contradicting their claims. Multiple operations, including Operation Secure Supply and Operation Flash Out, involved thousands of elite police and military personnel. This massive deployment aimed to suppress dissent effectively. Media suppression was evident as journalists faced violence for reporting on the operations. The government restricted media presence to control the narrative and avoid scrutiny. Reports indicate that many civilians were killed, contradicting the government's claim of no casualties. Human rights organizations have documented these incidents, raising serious concerns. The video discusses the brutal crackdown on Hefazat activists by state forces, highlighting the media's role in legitimizing violence against them. It details the aftermath of the events and the subsequent cover-up attempts. The portrayal of Hefazat activists as terrorists by the government media contributed to public perception and justified the violent actions taken against them. This narrative was prevalent during the crackdown. Witnesses recount the chaos and fear during the attack, detailing how many were shot and injured, yet the government downplayed the violence in official reports. This contradiction raised questions about accountability. The government's conflicting statements about the number of casualties created confusion and mistrust among the public, as various reports provided different figures without clarity or transparency. The investigation into the deaths during the protests revealed discrepancies in casualty figures, with conflicting lists from various organizations complicating the situation significantly. This raised questions about the accuracy and accountability of the information provided by both governmental and non-governmental sources. The role of the government and law enforcement in the investigation was scrutinized, especially regarding their handling of casualty reports and public information dissemination. This led to widespread confusion among the public. Different casualty lists emerged from various groups, including Hefazat-e-Islam, highlighting the challenges in verifying the actual number of deaths among the protesters. This inconsistency has fueled debates about transparency and trust. Human rights organizations, including Human Rights Watch, reported a significant number of fatalities, suggesting that the official figures may not accurately reflect the reality on the ground. This disparity calls for a thorough, independent investigation. In May 2013, an extraordinary number of 367 unclaimed bodies were buried, a stark contrast to the average of 96 bodies per month throughout the rest of the year. This indicates a significant spike in mortality during that period, potentially linked to violent events. The report highlights that October 2013 had the next highest number of burials with 138 bodies. The difference of 229 unclaimed bodies underscores the unusual circumstances surrounding May. Testimonies from officials and burial ground staff reveal a lack of records for the unusual number of burials. This raises questions about transparency and accountability during that time. International media coverage, including Al Jazeera, reported on the mass burials, showcasing public concern. Eyewitness accounts of the burials have further fueled speculation about the events that transpired. The police and law enforcement agencies were involved in a brutal operation against the Hefazat movement. Many officers received promotions and rewards for their actions during this controversial incident. Multiple bodies were reportedly dumped in various locations after the crackdown, raising serious concerns about police accountability and transparency. This issue remains unresolved within law enforcement records. Key figures in the police force played significant roles in executing the operation, with some later receiving promotions and accolades for their involvement. This raises questions about the justification of their actions. The involvement of high-ranking officials in orchestrating the attack indicates a systemic issue within law enforcement, where brutality against civilians is rewarded rather than condemned. This highlights a troubling trend. The ongoing legal and political struggles following the Shapla Square incident depict systemic issues within the governance and treatment of dissenting communities in Bangladesh. The lack of accountability for violence against activists raises serious human rights concerns. Numerous cases were filed against Hefazat activists post the Shapla incident, showcasing the government's ongoing attempts to suppress dissent through legal means. This has led to widespread fear and intimidation. Victims' families faced harassment and obstruction during funerals, indicating a deliberate effort by authorities to silence them and prevent public outcry. International organizations have criticized these actions. The case of Rayhan Hassan reflects the personal tragedies of those affected, as his family struggled for justice and faced administrative barriers in retrieving his body after his death. This highlights broader issues of state violence. The tragic events surrounding the death of a man named Nanu highlight the severe police harassment faced by his family. Despite numerous obstacles, they struggled to secure medical treatment and proper burial for him. Nanu's medical treatment was delayed due to police harassment, leading to severe complications and ultimately his death. The lack of timely health care exacerbated his critical condition. The family's attempts to transport Nanu's body were hindered by police presence and intimidation. The fear of being targeted added to their grief and desperation. After Nanu's death, his daughter faced police harassment and lived in fear for years. The family struggled with financial instability and sought justice for his wrongful death. The tragic events surrounding the Shapla Chottor incident highlight the severe consequences of violence against civilians, particularly women. Justice for the victims and their families remains a pressing demand for society. The death of Rayhan Nanu, a female breadwinner, underlines the vulnerability of women in conflict situations. Her story is emblematic of the broader issue of gender-based violence. The emotional toll on families affected by such violence is profound, as they face the pain of losing parents, spouses, and children. Each death represents a personal tragedy beyond mere statistics. The need for thorough investigations into these incidents emphasizes the role of the government in ensuring justice. Victims' families seek accountability for the loss of their loved ones.